The 8.95-meter long jump world record set by American hero Mike Powell has remained firm for 30 years. Before that, an 8.90-meter record stayed unbeaten for 23 years. It's safe to say that the standards of long jump competitions have decreased. Even jumps under 8.5 meters can win major medals. Join us today as we examine the factors that make it so difficult to break long jump records. Starting with the biggest issue, the best athletes no longer compete in the long jump. Dwight Phillips is only one of the top 7 male long jumpers in history who has established a personal record since the turn of the century. 6 of the other individuals are American. One explanation is that the freak athletes who once excelled in the long jump no longer think about joining the sport. They take up big team sports like basketball and football. Marquise Goodwin, who's a 2-time NCAA long jump champion, now plays as a wide receiver for the 49ers. The case is clear. The long jump doesn't draw the best athletes, even in track and field. At the peak of the sport, Carl Lewis was the best sprinter in the world, as well as the best long jumper, taking home back-to-back Olympic 100-meter crowns in 1984 and 1988. Many athletes with the sprint speed to develop into world-class long jumpers instead become sprinters because there was more money and fame there than there was in the jumps. Today, very few professional competitors combine the long jump and the sprints, but it is quite difficult. When Lewis decided to chase 4 golds at the 1984 Olympics, he felt that his long jump suffered because he was not able to devote as much energy to it as a pure jumper would have. It didn't suffer that much. He still won the gold in Los Angeles. Coming up, everything has to be perfect to beat the world record for the long jump. Carl Lewis was the most reliable jumper there ever was. He boasts 11 of the top 20 legal jumps in history. No one else has more than 1. However, Lewis still wasn't able to break the world record. He would have broken the world record with an 8.91-meter leap at the 1991 World Championships, but the wind speed, at 3.0 meters per second, was over the allowed limit. Then, there's the incident involving Lewis's 9.14-meter jump in Indianapolis in 1982, which was given as foul play by the authorities. However, Lewis claims it was not a foul. In 1995, in the Italian mountain town of Sestriere, Ivan Pedroso of Cuba broke Powell's record by jumping 8.96 meters farther, but it was never recognized because a guy was obstructing the wind gauge. How unlucky. Every performer has a tale to tell about the jump that could have been a world record, whether it was a huge foul, a jump that was barely assisted by the wind, or a jump that could have been further with a helpful wind. Few jumpers can recall the exact moment when everything came together. Bob Beamon did experience a leap in which all the pieces came together. He performed the 8.90 in Mexico City at a height of 7,350 feet, allowing him to sprint more quickly on the approach and hang in the air longer with the maximum permitted tailwind. He was also fortunate with the weather because had he made his jump only 15 minutes later, it would have been raining, eliminating any chance of trying. Moving on, there's also the element of mental block. Consider Roger Bannister, whose historic 359.4-mile world record only stood for 46 days. Sometimes, when an athlete breaks a barrier, it can usher in an age of record breaking as competitors acclimate to the new reality of what could be. For the first 10 years of its existence, Bob Beamon's world record had a reverse impact because his jump was so far beyond anything anyone had previously attempted. Lewis, though, had begun to frequently jump in the 8.7 range by the 1980s, and his feat served as an inspiration to the man who eventually broke Beamon's record. A new mental barrier is thought to have been built at 8.95 now that Michael Powell's record has endured longer than Beamon's did. Analysts think that there was a psychological barrier that jumpers had to get over before Powell's record could be broken. However, change might be on the horizon. The longest permitted jump in the last 9 years was 8.68, made by Juan Miguel Echevarria in June in Germany. In Stockholm, Echevarria even went further. His 8.83 was the longest all-conditions leap ever since 1995. This year, 8 men cleared 8.4 meters or more outside, which is a record since 1997. Following up, the record is also really far. The 1960 Olympic gold medalist and 1968 bronze medalist Ralph Boston claimed that the latest 8.95 meters record is so difficult to surpass because it is that good. And that explains why Powell's record has not been broken even after 27 years. History also demonstrates that it may be a while before the world record for the long jump is broken again. Only 3 men have held the world record for 75 of the past 83 years. What's more, will the long jump world record be broken anytime soon? Powell is still a huge sports enthusiast, and he can spot talent when he sees it. He was concerned that Pedroso might break his record when he made the 8.71 meters jump. Additionally, he was concerned about Phillips winning with his 8.74 meters leap. He now fears that he will lose to Echevarria. Echevarria. Echevarria, a tall and solidly built Cuban, may provide Powell's record's toughest challenge, yet despite looking more like a 400-meter runner than a long jumper. He made his debut at the age of 19 and made the longest indoor jump in 9 years by leaping 8.46 meters to win the world indoor title in Birmingham, England. 3 months later in Stockholm, he unleashed that amazing 8.83-meter leap, a jump so long that he accidentally slammed his feet on the pit's end. However, he needs to maintain good health if he wants to compete against 8.95. Stockholm was his final Diamond League competition of 2018, and he had to cut his season short due to injuries. In addition, it's also important to take into account the long jump world record. The long jump record does not experience the same level of record-breaking headlines as other sports. The first time the world record exceeded 7.98 meters was when Jesse Owens set it in 1935 with a distance of 8.13 meters. It would be 25 years before Ralph Boston in 1960 broke the record. Boston established the record at 8.24 meters, progressively increasing it over the following few years until it reached 8.35 meters in 1965. In 1967, Igor Ter-Ovansayan of China would equal the record. Additionally came Bob Beamon's legendary leap that shot him to a height no one had reached before. Bob Beamon was the epitome of athleticism when he was in the final of the 1968 Olympics. He rocked himself into motion gradually before blasting down the track in long steps, achieving peak velocity and easing softly towards the takeoff board. His landing was so forceful and precise that he stayed on his feet and was driven forward in a series of hops that carried him out of the sand pit. He hung in the air like a performer in a play, flying over the stage on transparent ropes. Beamon was aware of the jump's magnitude, but he wasn't fully aware of the impact it'd have for decades to come. Beamon had increased the world record by 55 centimeters in just 6 seconds, bringing the new mark to 8.95 meters. Furthermore, the record stood for a further couple of decades until Mike Powell's arrival in 1991. The 1980s and early 1990s were the peaks of the long jump. At the 1991 World Championships in Tokyo, this revival reached its apex on a track that was extremely slippery. Mike Powell broke the 23-year record held by Beamon by leaping 8.95 meters. It was the only occasion Beamon's record had been surpassed, yet he continues to hold the Olympic long jump record, which is also the record that has been in existence the longest. Only 2 of the top 20 jumps in history were completed after 1996. The mean date of those top 20 jumps, when calculated, comes out to be autumn 1985. The heck is that? Imagine if other sports of our lives endured as long as Beamon's Olympic record. Lastly, the shoes have gotten better, and so have the athletes. However, certain records seem to have been designed to either never be broken or to only be broken occasionally. Powell claims that he's prepared for the record to be broken anytime soon, even though it's already been 27 years and counting. He never imagined that his mark would endure as long as Beamon's. Powell believes that Echevarria has a strong opportunity to break the record, but that everything must come together for it to happen. Who do you think will be able to break Powell's long jump record? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and also subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.